So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video we have some tactics that are really good for the 4-3-3 fourth variation. Now this is one of the better wide formations in this game. Now me personally, I'm not always a big fan of using super wide formations, but this one especially just seems to be really nice along with the 4-4-2. So I'm going to try and help you guys out if you would like to try out this formation. And yeah, let's get right into it. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alright then guys, so starting off with the tactics for the 4-3-3. For the defensive style, we like to have this on balance. This is because it does give you the best control over your defense. So when you want to be super aggressive and press your opponent, you can do that, and then when you want to drop back, be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. So balance does give you the best variety in your defense that the other settings don't give you. We also don't have to use pressure tactics because of something that we'll get onto in a moment, which is even better. Moving on to the defensive width, guys, I just have this on 43. Not really a specific number you need to use, but the reason I have it on this is so we can defend in a nice, narrow and compact shape, which will stop our opponents being able to run and attack right through the middle of us, but we still maintain some of the natural width of the formation to cover the wider areas in case an opponent tries to go down the wing as well. So 43 width seems to be working really well, but anywhere from like 40 to 45 I'd say is pretty good. Moving on to the depth, guys, this was the thing I was on about when it came to the pressure. Now on the new gen consoles, if you have your depth on 71 or above, you'll get this automatic press from the AI. It was very strong, very overpowered, and the game basically defends for you a lot of the time. It will also overload the ball side automatically, so it is very hard to play through if you're the opponent, and it also breaks your opponent's attacking AI. So a very broken tactic, and unfortunately everyone pretty much has to use this at the moment. I really am hoping EA do fix this. Now moving on to build-up play, guys, I have this on balanced. This is because I find it to be the most varied form of build-up in the game. When you use balanced, you can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build-up. So if you want to play slowly, you can do that, and then when you want to speed it up and play a little bit faster, you can also do that. So balanced allows you to pick and choose when and where you use each style, basically. Moving on to chance creation, guys, very important in my opinion, direct passing. Now the reason direct passing is so important is because it's the only setting which will actually make your attackers move in the correct ways. With direct passing, you get more versatile and dynamic movements from your attackers, meaning you can create a lot more chances. Your attackers will also bunch up against the opposition defenders, meaning it's very easy to isolate a specific defender and take him on in a 1v1 play. So direct passing, very important. I do suggest you guys use this. Now moving on to the attacking width, because this is a wider formation, it does make sense that we use a higher width. I just have this on 55, so you do get decent width in the team. You don't want it to be crazy narrow because it is a bit of a wider formation, but at the same time you don't want to have the width too high because it'll just feel like your players are way too spread out, and playing the simplest of passes can actually become extremely difficult because you're having to like fire missiles at your players just because they're that far apart. So you want to be wide but not too wide. Moving on to players in box, guys, I have this on 5. This is so we can get a few players into the box to finish off those chances, of course, but we don't overcommit everybody on the team to the point where if we lose out on possession, we're not always going to get counter-attacked. As for corners and free kicks, guys, this is down to preference really, but I just have these on 2. This is so I can get a few players into the box if I want to cross it, and I can also play it short, but just do whatever you want with these 2 settings. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but I have noticed around 90% of you that watch the content are not subscribed, so if you are finding any of these videos helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe button as it does help me out massively. Also don't forget to drop the video a like as well. And with all that aside, guys, let's get back to the video. Now moving on to the player instructions, guys, on the striker I like to have him on stay central and mixed attack. Now the reason we have him on stay central is because this player is our striker. We don't want him drifting out into the wide areas. We don't need him to do that. We've already got wingers, so it makes no sense for him to be out there. We want him to stay in the central positions where the striker should be to help us score more goals. We also have this player on mixed attack as opposed to get in behind, because I feel like you get a lot more out of the player on mixed attack. When you have him on mixed attack, he makes more varied movements. He doesn't always just run in behind like if you have him on get in behind. It just seems to be a bit more fluid in attack, and you seem to have a lot more creativity and options. That being said, if you want to use another setting because that's something you're comfortable with, that is also fine. Now moving on to both of the wingers, guys, I just leave them on the default settings and then I put them on comeback on defense. Now the reason we have them on comeback on defense is because it makes this formation defend with 4 in the midfield, which makes it super nice in the defense as well as the attack. If you look at this formation just as it is, you'll notice we just seem to have like those 2 centre mids in the midfield, and there's a lot of space down the wings in the wide areas, and we need to cut that out. We need to get rid of that, so we put these wingers on comeback on defense, so they'll come back to defend as a left mid and right mid, closing off all that space, which means you can cover the central areas and the wide areas simultaneously, and it makes it harder for your opponent to attack. Now the reason I leave these players on the default settings as well is because I don't want to restrict them all that much. What I like my wingers to do is a bit of everything. For example, I don't always want them to stay wide, I don't always want them to cut inside, I don't always want them to get into the box. I kind of just want them to do whatever is contextually best, which is why I just leave them alone. That being said, if you do want to tweak any of these instructions, that is completely up to you, and that is okay to do that. Now moving on to the cam, guys, honestly I just leave this player alone because I feel like the cam is the most creative player in this team, so it makes no sense for you to restrict him to doing certain things all the time. This player has the most creative ability in the team usually, that is who you want to use in this position, so it makes no sense for you to want to restrict him all the time to only doing a certain thing. You want him to be able to drift into certain positions, you want him to contribute as much as possible, which is why I do just suggest leaving this guy alone. As for the left centre mid, guys, I do use a more defensive minded midfielder here. So on this player, I have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. We have him on stay back because, like I said, this is a more defensive minded player, so we don't want him flying forward. We do want him to stay back primarily and add that defensive support. And then the most important instruction is to have him on cover centre. This is so he will actually defend those central areas, because we don't really need this player to cover the wings. We've already got the left mid and the right mid coming back to cover those areas, so this player on cover centre. For the right centre mid, I do use a more box-to-box style midfielder, so I just leave him on the default settings and then I also put him on cover centre. Now we have him on the default settings because, like I said, he is a more box-to-box style player, so we don't just want to restrict him to defending all the time. We want him to attack and defend and act as a bit of a transitional player from the defence to the attack, so we just leave him alone as a result of that. We also put him on the cover centre instruction for the exact same reason as the left centre mid, where he will cover those central areas as opposed to drifting out into the wider areas. Now for the fullbacks, guys, on one of them, preferably your more attacking one, I would suggest putting them on balanced overlap. This is so you always get an extra option when you're going forward, because if you keep your fullbacks back, like a lot of people do, you can sometimes run out of options when you're attacking and lack the extra man to help you out. So by having one of the fullbacks on balanced overlap, it always gives you that extra angle, that extra option, which is very, very useful. On the other fullback though, I would suggest having him on stay back while attacking and overlap. This is so you always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, so you can still be nice and solid while still committing one of the fullbacks forward. And then we have him on the overlap run type as well, so when he goes forward he'll go to add extra width to the team. And then for the 2 centre backs, guys, I just leave these 2 alone. I don't touch them, there's no need. These instructions are fine. And as for the keeper, if you want to put him on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper, that is okay, but me personally, I just prefer to leave them on the balance settings, and yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, they are my custom tactics for the 4-3-3-4 variation. If you guys have enjoyed this video or found it useful, please be sure to drop it a like, as it does really help me out. Also sub to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any of these videos, and yeah, don't forget to turn on the notification bell as well. And yeah, that's basically everything, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Love you lots.